Hello everyone, I'm Santiago and today I'm gonna be testing the GTA franchise on the GTX 1650 Super. So while we wait for GTA 6, I decided to test all the GTA games on PC. We'll be going through GTA 3, Vice City, San Andreas, GTA 4, 5, and that's about it. So first, on GTA 3, Vice City and San Andreas, I'll be using some graphical mods to push the GPU a little bit more. In some cases this will destroy performance, but we'll be using the 4K resolution. For GTA 3 I'll be using the Xbox mod that adds some of the graphical enhancements of the original Xbox version. There'll also be better reflections on cars and some other character improvements. In this case we don't have much of a problem at all, it runs totally fine, way past 100 frames per second. But this game has some issues with the physics when going past 30 frames per second, so my advice here is to cap the frame rate to 60 in order to have the best experience with the audio, the physics and all that good stuff. Then on GTA Vice City I tested the Vice Cry mod, which is a mod that enhances the graphics, especially the vegetation, and in this case it's a huge performance hit, especially when there's a lot of foliage on screen. So I'll be going through it with a card to show you the performance difference. It's like going from 300 frames per second to 60 in a matter of 2 seconds. So my advice here is to either disable the vegetation or cap the frame rate to 60 so you don't have that huge variation from 50 to 200 frames per second in 1 second. So yeah, personal preference in that case. And we're still at the 4K resolution, so if you lower the resolution it will be even better. Then on GTA San Andreas I'll be using the 4K resolution once more, and I'll be using a few graphical enhancements such as shadows and improved effects. In this one you'll mainly see the difference when I'm just having a fight with the police. A lot of fire, explosions, some NPCs on screen that will make it drop below 60 frames per second, but you can improve this by using either 1800p or something lower than that, such as 1440p or 1080p. So yeah, it's extra demanding with these mods, so if you disable them you have over 100 frames per second just fine. It's just to put some extra stress on the GPU. And I'll talk to you again on GTA 4. See you there.
We got a 1080 to West Portland State. Suspect on Police! Free! This is 1081 to West Portland State. Suspect now, yellow, smoke gun.
You like actually hit me.
Now, yellow, smoke gun.
Oh, lady, so
Respond to attend 90 North Washington Beach.
you ain't a cop. You're a robot.
Respond to attend 51 North Washington Beach. There is attend 71 North Washington Beach. There is attend 17 North Washington Beach. Please note attend 21 North Washington Beach. Suspect on foot. Respond to attend 21 North Washington Beach. Respond to attend 21 North Washington Beach.
This is just like training.
There is attend 21 North Washington Beach. Respond to attend 21 North Washington Beach. Please note attend 21 North Washington Beach. Suspect on foot. There is attend 5 City North Washington Beach. Please note attend 21 West Ocean Beach. Suspect in a flash gun. Respond to attend 21 North West Ocean Beach. There is attend 19 North West Ocean Beach. Suspect in a flash gun. There is attend Ocean Beach, 610, course northwest, Ocean Beach. Respond to attend, 1 northwest, Ocean Beach, first terminal, last stand. Respond to attend, 1 northwest, Ocean Beach, please attend, 1 northwest, Ocean Beach.
Hey, you look like you bad.
Grove Street, home. At least it was before I fucked everything up. You gon' say
Suspect is about to be terminated. Still think you're hard, huh? We're the good guys, you little chump. This is aerial support. Suspect is about to get terminated.
Now I'm testing GTA 4, one of the worst PC ports in history, and on this one I'll be using 1800p instead of 4K. That's because at 4K it drops below 60 frames per second much more often, especially due to the GPU. So my advice on GTA 4 to get the best frame rates possible is to keep every setting that you can on high, not going anything higher, except on the water. That doesn't really make much of a difference, at least in my experience. And also the draw distance sliders that you can see in the options menu, keep them as default, so don't edit any of those values, just keep them as they come. It's not the best draw distance or anything like that, but it's good enough, the performance is decent. You'll notice when I'm fighting and going very fast through the map that I get some GPU usage drops. It can usually go into the mid 50s, upper 70s, and that's because of the game itself. It maxes out the CPU, yeah, but if you use a better CPU it doesn't make a huge difference. It seems to focus more on single-threaded performance than anything else. So yeah, keep it like this and it will be okay. Usually it runs the worst in the center of the city, which is where I'm playing, so keep it in mind as a worst case scenario. I'll talk to you again on GTA 5. And finally GTA 5, on this one I'll show you 1080p, 1440p and 4K, so you have 3 resolutions to see which fits you best. And on all of them I'll be targeting 60 frames per second. On 1080p it's pretty easy, you can max out the game just fine and keep a couple advanced settings enabled. That was over 60 frames per second pretty much all the time. Then at 1440p I had to lower a couple things to very high or high and disable all the advanced options. That was good enough to be over 60 most of the time, with some drops into the 50s with many explosions on screen. And finally at 4K I had to lower the settings even lower, but the game still looks very good, at least in my opinion. We were over 60 frames, and again, when there's a lot of cars exploding on screen, you get drops into the 50s. Not something that usually happens all the time, but it was a good stress test for the GPU. So yeah, from those 3 resolutions, select the one that fits your monitor, and you can play at 60 most of the time. Anyway guys, that's about it. I hope you keep enjoying the video, thanks for watching and see you next time.